A state of disorder. If you can hear me, can you put a 1 in the chat? I hate it when people do that, but I'm not sure you can hear me. And I don't. I should be able to be heard. You should be able to hear me, but maybe not. I probably should have shared this out with the Missing Fort Worth Trio on Facebook, but I didn't do that. So there's that. If you can hear me, slap a 1 in the chat. Because I don't think you can. No, I should be. You could, no, you should be able to hear me. Should be. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but it should be. Hey, can y'all hear me? Please say you can hear me. Please. Please. Let me type it. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. Let's get ready. Cassandra. Hey, my client, Deborah. State of just you know what, state of disorder. We need to do another panel when we figure out just Grammy. SDA, how's it going, everybody? How's it going, everybody? I am going to take this very slowly tonight. As y'all know, sometimes I speed up, because I guess it's from ADD. I've got information that I just can't wait to get out of my mouth. So it just leaves my mouth and sometimes it doesn't make sense. Or sometimes I forget a lot of shit. But I'm going to try to do it slowly so that I can gather my thoughts and share my opinions on this. Let me see. Let me see. Let me try to share this out on the Facebook. As my grandmother would say, on the Facebook. Let's see. Shit. Oh, I'm wrong. I'm not even looking at it now. I appreciate that. The state of disorder. We need to do another one. We need to do another. We need to, because you are who you do your research just like I do. I love it. Hey, Angelo, I love you. Call me after. Okay, sure will. Sure will. Hope everybody's having a relaxed holiday season so far. I am. So far. Let me see. Shit. But I'm not looking at the thing. Yeah. It would be fun. Hey, peas. All right. Let me get this. How do I even do this? I really should be better at this than I am, quite frankly. I really should be. There is no excuse for me to not know what I'm doing. Shit. Cranberry. Oh my gosh. I hope it's not Christmas. I mean, my daughter Devin's birthday is New Year's Day. So, hey, Plain Jane. So we would have to, Cheyenne, honey, we would celebrate Christmas, and I call it Hell Week because we would celebrate Christmas. I would have to put everything up, right? All the decorations down before the 1st so that Devin could have her birthday party. I never allowed, here's your Christmas and your birthday together. Nope, we didn't do that. So I don't, it's not so much bad. Elden Jean, she's going to be 30 this, next week? Oh my God, 30. Jesus Christ. She's old. Glad I'm not. Um, well, it's still, is it still a chance? I don't know. All right. I'm going to share this out on the Fort Worth Trio page. I'm sorry, I'm not looking. Y'all know me. I gotta why am I having such a hard time? Why am I having such a hard time? All right. And on this the missing trio, oh, it's the 15th. Yeah. Hey Halloween baby, Merry Christmas. The people over on the missing, trio over on Facebook, they are some really exceptional people. You have Rusty Arnold, who is the brother of Rachel, the oldest one. Then you have Terry Mosley, who was the brother of Julianne, the youngest. He was also the boyfriend of Renee. So, and then it's Janet. It's Janet, which is another sister of Rachel's. Nope, sorry, stupid me. Julie. And some really dedicated people over there. And I can't imagine. Terry Mosley is pretty active there. And he made a post the other day that, he basically, like, he didn't have many Christmases left, on Earth. And because he's what, 65. And with the internet and with the page, and you have people coming and they have these outlandish opinions that they share, and over there they share it, and it's a lot. And I made the comment that while me and everyone else can, Mayor's daughter, me and everyone else can go at leisure and go look at the page and see if there's been anything, going on, and then we can get on with our life, and then check back. And Rusty does not have that, privilege. Terry doesn't have that privilege. Janet does not have that privilege. Deborah does not have that. It goes on and on. They live it every day. And I figured it out. And it has been 18,240 odd days that these girls have been missing. Can you imagine? 18,000 days that they have been missing. And you got the birthdays, and you got Christmas, and then you got, everything that should have happened the last 50 years for these families didn't. And nobody knows why. And even if the person responsible were to step forward today, hey, Aunt Kathy, and say, yeah, I did it, and here's why I did it, nobody's still going to understand it. You're not going to go, oh, okay. Well, yeah, you took our three, beautiful girls because of X, Y, and Z. Oh, okay, it makes sense. It's not ever going to make sense why this happened. And there's so many. I cannot present to y'all every single piece of information on this case. And I always try to, but we have 3 different human beings, 3 different families, 50 years worth of sightings and opinions and private detectives and suspects, and possibly, they might be here, they might be there. It's a lot. So, and then I will give you my opinion on some things, which might not be held by anybody else. And y'all know what I always say. Listen, you want to dive into this case of these 3 girls, I beg you to do it, because it's just a lot. It's just a lot. It's too much. It's just too much. Let me try to share this out on the Facebook chat because I've been just talking and not actually trying to share it out. Here we go. Let's see. Stop it. Hold on, I'm trying. I have. Okay. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Hold on. Y'all know I'm not good at this stuff. I'm sorry. On YouTube. Just drop that. Let's do that. Let's do that. There we go. That should get some people over. That should do it. Okay, I'm so sorry. Hey, sweet crazy. All right. And I'm not camming out today, not because yeah, well, I know, right? I didn't want my face anywhere. I want those girls' faces everywhere. I didn't want to, this is not about my cute outfit, which I don't. I have on a damn sweatshirt. I have my hair up in a ponytail, and I look like a crazy person. So, yeah. All right. Yeah, man, this you go back and look because I was 6 in 1974. And I think about I was 6 years old. I'm 56 now. Obviously, if y'all can't do the math. And I can't imagine having to live with this. State of disorder, I try. I had these notes that I've had, and y'all have seen my notes before, right? I had a whole folder full of notes, and it is literally things that I've written on a scrap of paper or a free-flowing idea that I have to write down or I jot something down. And so I've tried to like streamline it and clean it up and make it somewhat. I mean, I still have notes and all these things sitting around, but I did try to streamline it. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. We will see how that goes. And let's see. I'm gonna wait just a minute. You just come back from Alaska. Like, I love Kentucky, but just not. Well, I appreciate that state of disorder. I try. I really do. I try. And I'll always, Rachel's mother, and I have a picture of it. I'll show when we get to it. Always puts out these 3 angels in her front yard for the girls. I have not 3 angels, but I've got 3 butterflies that I break out. They're pink butterflies. They're huge, and I put them on my my curtains back here. And I can't imagine, some of these girls, I think the only parent alive is Rachel's mother, Faye. I think she's the only one alive. That all these other girls, their parents have just fought. I mean, can you imagine 18,000 days of your child missing? And there is only one piece of physical evidence in this case. Only one piece of it. There's one detective that has a file that is 2 feet tall of tips that didn't work out, that went nowhere. 2 feet tall. It's been opened. It's been, closed. It's been reopened. It's some of the detectives. There's 2 main detectives private detectives that worked on this. I'll give you my opinion of them in a minute, in a while. I don't know about them. And Rusty Arnold has done an incredible job of keeping his sister and these girls relevant. And I say that because after 50 years, as we know, a lot of people, that you're moving on with your life, right? You're moving on with your life. When you hear this or whatever, they can't. But he has not given up on finding these girls. He is really, I don't even know. And Mark, why do I always call Mark? Terry Mosley posted something the other day, and I'll get to that as well. But the cold case department in Fort Worth is undermanned, to say the least. I think they have one full-time detective in the cold case file, and then some part-time. But I think if I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm not, the one detective that's full-time has been ill. And so, also there are around 1,200 cold cases that need to be looked into. They don't have the funding to do it. There was a girl in Fort Worth who was murdered in 1974. Her case remained unsolved for 46 years. Now, Oxygen, the channel Oxygen came in and paid for her dress that they had preserved to be tested. And I want to say it was around $20,000. It was a lot. And Oxygen paid for it to do the genealogy. They found the murderer. And they found him. And he was obviously already old. And I think they went through a couple of days of his trial. And he finally just said, you know what? I did it. I'm not doing it. I did it. He went to jail and died. And the only reason that girl's dress was tested is because Oxygen paid for it. It's many thousands of dollars. And we'll get to that, because there's a whole bill that needs to be passed in Texas, because I think Dallas has got, how many? I want to say 3,000 or more cold cases, and they don't have the funding to test these things, because the labs that have to test these things specialize in degraded DNA. That's what their specialty is. So, and it ain't gonna get done. I mean, it ain't gonna get done. No. The girl that I'm talking about, Carla Walker, she was killed in Fort Worth in 1974. These girls disappeared from Fort Worth in 1974. Are they connected? We don't know, because we don't have any physical evidence besides one letter that has been called into question for 50 years. The FBI have tried to match known samples of Rachel's writing to the letter and we'll get to it in a minute, that the letter that was received by her husband a day after they went missing. There are some parts of this case that are, they're just facts. You cannot present this case and not present the facts that, some handwriting looked like this, and maybe he did this, and it's all part of it. But we'll get into that right now. And here you go. If you see up here, we got the three girls, Julie and Mosley, 9, and there is Lisa Renee Wilson. Lisa Renee Wilson, I'm sorry. And then you have Rachel, Mary Rachel Arnold, Trelika. I never say her name right. Thank you, little honeybee. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry if y'all come in. I'm just like talking. Yeah, they used. Yeah, it's a lot. I know. I think that auction paid $20,000 for, and I think it was like, I don't know. I forgot. I know. I walk around with this knowledge. Some of it falls straight out of my head. Some of it stays. But yes, they all three disappeared on December 23rd, which, by the way, was a Monday. Today is a Monday. And so at this point, 50 years ago, something was real wrong. The families were real wrong. And we're going to jump right into it right now because, 18,262 days that these girls have been missing. Their families have lived a nightmare. 18,262.5 days, by the way, is a 0.5 in there. The continual aftermath of this, and it's been continuous aftermath. It really has. You've had families, you've had devastated families, parents. You've had them turn, so the families have turned on each other at some points. Even, brother and sister. It's got to be mentioned that for a while, Rusty Arnold believed that his sister Deborah was involved, and we'll get into why he thought that. It was, and there's one detective in particular that was, in my opinion, the Antichrist of this whole thing, who, I don't know what his goal was, but let's talk about it. So, on the 23rd of December 1974, Rachel I never can say it right. I'll just say her. Rachel. She'd been married to Tommy for 6 months. She was 17 years old, gasp, whatever. This was 1974, and she got married to Tommy, who had been married and divorced and had a 2-year-old son. And I'm pretty sure I got. There's another photograph of her. I want to throw these photographs up because it is very rare that a new photograph pops up. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's very rare. And I found some, oddly enough, that I'd never seen this particular photograph. This is Rachel in high school. She was part of the choir. Let's keep going. Let's see. There's Renee, and that is who Terry Mosley, little Julie's brother, had given her a promise ring the morning that she went missing. And she went, bless her heart. This is a picture that Terry put up because this is the way he remembers his little sister. In there washing dishes, and just very sweet. Here's another picture of Rachel, closer to the age where she actually disappeared, which was 9. There's Rachel on a horse. They're all beautiful. Don't get me wrong. They're all beautiful. Rachel had this, I won't say angelic. She was a very beautiful girl. This is actually the invitation to their wedding. I put this up because it was kind of a big deal. I mean, it wasn't one of those, she's pregnant, because she wasn't, or whatever. This was like a whole thing. We had invitations. We got a dress coming up here in a minute of her in the dress. There they are. There's Tommy, her husband, and there she is, just as beautiful as can be. There's her in her dress. She looks like a baby doll. Oh no, they've never been found. Nope, never. Nothing. And This is either dumb luck by the person or persons that took them. It's either dumb luck or they were diabolical geniuses. And I don't know which one it is. Honestly, I don't know which one it is. There's Tommy, doing the old garter. And if you look here, if Renee, her best friend Renee, is right there in the middle as a flower girl, maid of honor, whatever. Teresa, why am I saying these names that aren't true? Rachel and Renee's families were close. They would go camping together when the weather permitted. They were really, really, really close. And even though Rachel was 2 or 3 years older than Renee, they were still best of friends. So I'm going to get a picture of, there we go. So there's Tommy, and in the middle is his son, Sean, and there's Rachel. It is my understanding, and if I'm wrong, I hope I'm not, but they were going to be able to get Sean on Christmas Eve, I believe. I'm not sure. So Rachel wanted to go get more presents for him to open because, and that is why on the 23rd, she went to the mall. Now, all right, so she was living with Tommy. They've been married 6 months. Tommy's parents had died in, I want to say 1972 or 73. I got it written down. And he left them, he got all of their estate. So he had a really nice house. He had some white cars. He had some cash. So Rachel lived with him in a home, in his own home. She drove a really nice car. Rachel's father was a mechanic by trade. And his nickname was Cotton. And there was an actual he would say, if your car is rotten, bring it to Cotton. So, that's kind of funny. Hey, Tammy, I'm just me. Hey, Christmas, my love. I know. Ever since you got a job, you abandon all of us losers. And I don't like it. Yeah, so all right, so let me just explain that. I got backstories on all of this. So Tommy Cotton had gotten into a little bit of trouble, maybe a little tax evasion, little something he got into. And his business was failing, kind of. So Tommy had this cash. He invested $20,000. Hey, have pint. Now I'm just getting started, baby. He invested $20,000 into Cotton's transmission and repair shop so that Tommy could learn, and they keep this business going. Cotton also had stage 4 cancer at the time. So the morning that Rachel wanted to go shopping, she called her mother. And she said, listen, I got to run to the mall. Do you want to go with me? And she said, yeah, I can't. Your dad is really not good today, and I just don't want to leave him. And everybody clutch your pearls for this. Deborah, Rachel's sister, lived with her and Tommy. Now, between Tommy getting divorced from his first wife, he was only 20 when these girls went missing. He was a 20-year-old kid, okay? But he'd begun to see Deborah, okay, the older sister of Rachel. And they had even become engaged to be married. I think in that 1920, that young love, that we're gonna get married, and they ended up not doing that. And Tommy began to date Rachel, and then they got really young, and then they got married. And so Deborah was living with them in the house because she'd had a fight with her boyfriend. I gotta say this: Cotton Arnold was not a kind man, for whatever reason. I'm not even gonna. He wasn't a kind man, and he inflicted some abuse on his daughters that, they had a little, let's see. So Rachel was 17 when she went missing. Rusty was 11 at the time. And he even said he watched his dad beat these girls until blood ran down their legs. So that gives you a little insight into why Rachel wanted to probably get out of the house and just, not have to worry about it. Just get her. She just wanted to be, hey, Wolf, just wanted to be out of the house. Rusty even said, I think that, Cotton gave them, the girls, the beatings that probably, Rachel should have had. Tommy, shit. Sorry, Rusty should have had. I'm sorry. So Rachel goes and wakes up her sister, Deborah, and says, listen, I got to go to the mall. Do you want to go with me? And Deborah said, no, we played canasta all night. I'm just tired. I don't want to go. Hey, Freeside. And there's also a story out there that the night before, on the 22nd, that they'd all gotten into a fight. I mean, even to the point where Rachel and Deborah were physically fighting. That's one story. I don't know if it's true. No, I guess the people that know, know. But Deborah, for whatever reason, did not want to go. So Rachel calls Renee, who is at her grandmother's house. Says, listen, I got to go to the mall. Do you want to come with me? Rachel and Renee says, yeah, I'll come with you. But I have to be home by 4:00 because, hey, Lacey, because Terry and I are going to a Christmas party. Renee wanted to go to this Christmas party, especially since Terry had given her a promise ring. And she, of course, wanted to go show it off. Whoa, of course. And so Rachel 100% agreed. Yeah, we'll be home by 4, no problem. So they show up. Rachel goes to, Renee is staying with her grandmother. Across the street from Renee's grandmother is where Terry, Janet, and little Julie lived. So when Rachel pulls up to get Renee, they asked Terry if he wanted to go to the mall. He couldn't. Oh, there's some more of them too. Oh, there's Renee in another pose. I found this recently. This is just she has that one picture that you just stuck with. But I saw this one and I thought, let's do that. So they show up. So they asked Terry if he wants to go. Terry can't go because he has a friend in the hospital that's getting ready to have a hernia operation. He had promised that friend that he would go to the hospital and spend some time with him. So they asked Janet, who was at the time, I want to say 11 as well. And Janet did not want to go, the younger sister. But Julie really wanted to go. Please, I want to go. So Rachel and Renee said, listen, go ask your mom. All right. Her mother was at work. And if she says you can go, you can go. So Julie runs back home, calls her mother at work, begs and pleads with, please let me go with them. Please let me go with them. I'm not going to have anything to do. Nobody's going to be here. And please let me go. And her mother, hey, twist, Merry Christmas. Her mother finally relented and said, okay, because she knew Renee. She didn't know Rachel, but she knew Renee. And she said, oh, okay, but you got to be home by 6:30. Okay. These times are going to mean something in a while. And all was agreed. And in the car, they jumped and they first went to the Army Navy store. This was in Fort Worth, Texas, by the way. Renee had some layaways there that she wanted to get. So they went by, and they left right before 12:00. They arrived, I would say they arrived at the Army Navy, maybe 10, 15 minutes later, could be. Hey, Tartan Telly. Hey, Lacey. I try Lacey so hard. So then they go, Renee gets her layaway out. And then they head over to Seminary South Shopping Center. It's been described as a mall. And I'm going to show you what it looked like then. It's not really a mall. There's little Renee again in the wedding. There's Terry and Renee. Now look at that. And here they are again. And you know what the thing is? Who knows? They could have been, you know what I'm saying? Nobody will ever know. Even though Young Love rarely they just look at him smiling at him. And he was 15 years old when they went missing. And you never know. You just never know what could have been. I don't even know if he's married or whatever. I've never asked. I know, right? They look hot, right? They do. Here's the a workup of the promise ring that he gave her that morning. You imagine being 14, your 15-year-old boyfriend who was beautiful wakes you up at your grandmother's to give you a ring, and you're like, hey, you're gonna go to that party, honey. You are going. So here's their car, and I did not put this in the right order, but this will make sense in a minute. All right, I'm going to show you this real quick. So Renee had on a shirt, a T-shirt. Some say T-shirt, some say pullover, some say it was yellow, some say it was green. And it had Sweet Honesty, which was an Avon perfume at the time. And she had on her Sweet Honesty T-shirt. This is why when they got to the shopping center, that those three girls stood out because of that shirt. They remembered her shirt. And so these are the different colors that came in. This was probably the one she had on, this color. But, it's pretty, you're going to notice it in the mall. All right. So here's the mall. This is the Sears part of the mall. This is going to be important in a minute, too. And let me go forward. Oh, okay. Listen, sorry. I forgot to take these out. I'm sorry. It is the core 4. I'm sorry. I forgot to take these out. And there's awesome. I mean, there they are. I can't help it. Here's another shot of the shopping center. You see all that parking there? There's a lot. This was the December 23rd. It was there. It was there. So here's inside of it. Okay. I know. I'm so sorry. I meant to take them out. But you see, it's really kind of a shopping center, like a plaza, more than a mall. And, you see it's a lot of it's covered, but this was basically what it was. It wasn't a mall. I met my sister at 16. Yeah, it could happen, SDA. It could happen. It would happen. This is one of those things you never know. And so here we have a current day, but if you look, we have Sears over here on the left. On the right, you can see where this little block, and I know you can't see my pointer, which really fucking pisses me off, but they were parked up here in the Sears upper parking lot. Where it's the darkest right there, like, oh shit, in the middle. Wait a minute, I got right. Okay. So 4 o'clock comes and goes. All right. 4 o'clock comes and goes. And that's when I think maybe Renee's family thought, and Rachel's thought, she was going to be back so she could get ready in time for this party. And then 6:30 comes. And that is when little Julie is supposed to be home. And that comes and goes. And then the parents realize something is up. So the father, I want to say Cotton, but I think Richard, Renee's parents were Richard and Judy. And I think that the father retraced their steps or retraced their route to the mall to make sure that their car hadn't broken down, because we didn't have cell phones back then. So he went, and there was no car on the side of the road. Rusty and their mother, Fran, went to the shopping center and had them paged, and every single store in that shopping center, no girls. Okay, no girls. As the day got darker, they found the car parked in the upper parking lot at around 6 p.m. that that night. And it was just sitting there, right? Nothing wrong with it, just sitting there. And so we know the girls made it to the mall. We know that because people saw them inside. Somebody that worked at Record Bar. Do y'all remember Record Bar? That was a great store. Somebody that worked at Record Bar saw Rachel and talked to Rachel for a little bit. People saw the shirt that Renee had on. So they were at that ball, right? No girls. So the family calls the police. And this is the first fumble of the whole thing. So the police show up, and I'm gonna say the Wilsons, possibly the Arnolds, I don't really know, and talked to the families, and the cops said, yeah, you know what, they just ran away. They had the youth division, they handed the case over to the youth division of the Fort Worth Police Department, which dealt with runaways. And the police said they just ran away. Well, no, a 9-year-old does not run away 2 days before Christmas. A 14-year-old that wanted to show off her ring at a party does not run away the day of the party. Rachel was getting ready to spend her first Christmas with her husband, with the 2-year-old, with the family, and they're not going to run away. They're not going to run away. So they always do, sweet crazy. They always do. Let me tell you the 2 things you can count on. If a child goes missing, even, 1, they're runaways, and 2, psychics are on the way. If they're not found, oh, you better know a psychic is on the way. And I got one for you here too. We got some right here. Yes, we do. So Tommy had worked all day. Tommy had an alibi. He worked all day, right, with Rachel's father. He then he had a bowling league, right? And after work, he went to the bowling league for a meeting. Fran, his mother-in-law, Rachel's mother, calls him at the bowling alley and says, the girls have not come back yet. Something is wrong. He has Deborah, which is, remember, Rachel's older sister that lived with them, come pick him up, and he went and met the other parents. And they watched that car. The dads watched that car all night long to see if they came back, to make sure nothing happened to it. And the girls never came back. All right. So here's where the car's parked. This is the actual car. It's one of those, I think it was 2 years old. I think it was a 72 Oldsmobile. Nice car. Again, here it is. I think that's Tommy back there, but I cannot be certain of that. And here's a picture of it with color. All right, now, this picture right here. It is said, and it has been said, and I don't know why, that they knew, the police absolutely knew. Yeah, right, I know. Hey, D. Carter, baby, how you doing? Merry Christmas, honey. The cops said, oh, they absolutely came back to the car to put their packages up and then went back into the mall. Oh, nay. The picture you're seeing right now is a present that is wrapped in the car. That present was from Renee to Rachel's 2-year-old stepson. That is why there is a wrapped gift. That is the only gift that was in that car. The jeans that Renee got out of layaway, apparently she had put them on to go into the mall. So there was I think her old jeans were in the trunk, maybe. I'm not sure. You have 50 years of details that have been added to this, and it's definitely it looks like something Tony Soprano be. So, but this is the only thing that was in the only present. It was not, packages or anything like that. So did the girls go out there? I don't think so, but I don't know. All right. So we're going to go now to December 24th. This letter arrives in the mail to Thomas Trillica. I don't even know how to say his name. Thank you. Oh, yeah, thank you, my love. Thank you. I appreciate that. It is addressed to Thomas, and it is from Rachel. The only problem with this is Rachel never called Tommy Thomas ever. That was the first weird thing that happened. Now, mind you, people, this is the only piece of physical evidence that has ever been found in 50 years, and it showed up the next day, probably less than 12 hours later. It is postmarked the 24th. And so it had to be mailed the 23rd. And we have some problems with this. This is obviously the envelope. So let's look at the T and the L's and never said Thomas. Look at the H's, look at the T's. It's going to be important in a second. Yeah, there was a letter. All right, so let's look at the letter. Let me show you this. This is a big part of this. This is the postmark from that day. Now, the zip code of this letter could have been sent from a place called Weatherford, Texas, which was 27 miles away from Fort Worth. Or it could have been mailed from Throckmorton, Texas, which is about an hour and a half away. And the reason we don't know why or where is because if you look on the right side, that his Texas and his 76083, but the 3 doesn't look right. They think it might have been a transposed 3 or a 8 that didn't. Kathy, I try. Or a incomplete 8. Okay, so and then later on, I think the police said, well, it was probably mailed from Fort Worth, but I don't get how they know that, but but I don't know. All right, so I'm going to show you this before I show you that. It was signed Rachel. It was signed for, this supposedly was Rachel that did this. But if you look at this signature, well, let's read it first. Let's read it. All right, this is the actual letter. The blue that you see is on the plastic cover. It's not on the note. But it says, I know I'm going to catch it, but we just had to get away. We're going to Houston. See you in about a week. The car is in Sears upper lot. Love, Rachel. Huh. So Tommy gets this in his mailbox. He takes it inside to Deborah. Then they go over to the Arnolds, and then the Wilsons come, and everybody's passing this letter around. Let's go back to Rachel. Now, this looks a lot like Rachel's actual signature, in my opinion. But if you look at the L, it was an E before it was an L. Somebody, Rachel possibly, signed it and misspelled her own name. I don't know if that's going to happen. And then if you think about it, it's 2 E's. So you have Renee with 2 E's at the end, and then you have Rachel. So nobody knows what to make of that. Okay, this is obviously, she misspelled her name. They were going to Houston to get away. From what? What is a 9-year-old? If your plan is to pick up your friend, and mind you, Renee was the third person that she asked to go. So it's not like there was a trip planned out that Rachel and Renee and Julie were going to go to the mall. No, this happened really organically over the morning. Terry was supposed to go. Terry didn't go. There's another man out there that's dead now that said that Rachel had asked him to go, and he couldn't do it. So, we got a problem here. It's a problem. The family's never believed it. Here it is again. I want you to look at the T's and all of that because it's going to be important here. I know, Austin, I know we are lost just like you. I am so sorry. Sorry, Austin. Okay. Now, this is as big as I can get this. Okay, but we have the envelope on the on the left, and we have Tommy's signature on the right. And if you look at the bottom, there's the note, and there are some similarities. Look at the way, so on the left and the middle is something for that Tommy wrote. And if you look on the right, that is the note. The T's are a lot alike. I know, Cassandra, he always wants to bust in. Their handwriting is very similar. I will say that. And that was a problem. And it became a really bigger problem a couple years later when these families all of a sudden just weren't trusting each other. So yeah, it's a lot alike. It's a lot alike. They are a lot alike. And no one ever signs their name the same way. And that's one thing with her name, on the note, nobody ever signs their name the same way. If they just don't. You never do. You get it close, but you never do. So I don't know if this was, no one knows what to make of it. This is the only piece of evidence that they ever had. All right, so here we go. From Fort Worth to Houston. Oh, shit. Fort Worth to Houston. Obviously, we are going south. Yep. And it's 3 hours and 45 minutes to get to Houston on a bus. This is what people thought they were going to take, or they said they were going to take, or they asked, to go to the bus station. And where they plan to go after that, don't know, because guess what? They won't ever go into Houston. All right? They won't ever go into Houston. Now, if we go back and we look at this map, this is from Fort Worth to the Throckmorton. I want to say that is just, 126 miles in the opposite direction of Houston, okay? And then we go to Weatherford, 33 miles away, again, to the, west, not down. Now, these two towns, you're going to hear them again in a minute. And it's just one of those things, right? One of those things that doesn't make sense. When you're trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense, it's not ever going to make sense. Let me make sure I have everything ready. I don't want to keep harping on Cotton Arnold being, horrible man, but, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to keep harping on it. It is what it is. So, making sure I got everything. Hold on. I got it. Okay. I did my notes better. And so I can just give you briefly, nobody really knows what Rachel was wearing. I think that people just didn't, pay it. One, her husband was at work when she got ready. Her sister was asleep, so they didn't see what she had on. I don't know that Terry paid any attention to what she had on. So what she had on that day, nobody really knows. There was a bus station very close. And we're going to get into some of these witnesses that popped up. Only from one private detective, did these people start popping up. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Renee had on like purple, blue hip huggers, the pale yellow with green t-shirt, the sweet honesty. She had on sneakers. She had on the ring, and I think little Julie had on, I think it was a red shirt, jeans, and red tennis shoes. I'm gonna try to keep all my shit together here. Let's see. All right. So then we go to this letter. Let me make sure I haven't said everything about this letter. Okay, another thing with this letter is, oh, son of a bitch. I did not realize. All right, I'm sorry. All right. With this letter, a big to-do was made out of the fact that the piece of paper that the note was written on was written in ink. It was also too big for the envelope that it was in. The envelope was written in pencil. So why would you be switching from pen to pencil? You know, why was the piece of paper too big? And here's my thing. And I think it might be everybody's, but it's, you know, obviously everybody's gonna have their opinion. This letter was sent by either someone who knew them, which is one of the theories, and who wanted to buy about a week of time before the families might look for them. You know, we'd be back in about a week. Going to Houston. If a deranged maniac took the girls, I don't know why he would bother having Rachel write a note, if she wrote it, which has never been. This letter has been submitted 3 or 4 times to the FBI, along with every single scrap of paper that had Rachel's known handwriting. And for the last 50 years, the FBI has said this is inconclusive. We do not know if she wrote this or not. The FBI doesn't know if she actually wrote it. They have so much of her writing there that they couldn't, you know, verify it. Still can't verify it. So yeah, it just, why would you write this letter? Why would you drop this note? Nobody is going to, especially if you want to run off. Maybe Rachel absolutely needed to get away. Why are you taking a 9-year-old with you that you don't know? Why are you taking a 9-year-old? Doesn't make sense. But this is the only piece of physical evidence there is. To my knowledge, I think it has been tested for DNA, even though so many people handled this letter. But I think there are certain parts of the letter they supposedly got some DNA alpha of, or they won't say because now it's an open case again, so they won't really say if they did or not. But, you know, in some articles it says that they do have DNA to work off of. All right, well, maybe, I don't know. So this note, the day after they went missing, less than 12 hours, was sent. And if y'all can figure it out, I don't know why. I don't know why it was. And again, the postmark, and I'll read it to you again if you can't. If you can't, it's kind of hard to read. I know I'm going to catch it, but we just had to get away. We're going to Houston. See you in about a week. The car is in Sears upper lot. Love, Rachel. It makes no sense. The parents knew from the right jump that wasn't her handwriting. Tommy did not believe it was her handwriting. Yeah. So that is our piece of physical evidence. So when the police saw this, like, oh yeah, they ran away. They'll come back. No, you know, no problem. No. Again, 9-year-olds don't run away 2 days before Christmas. Tommy brought up an excellent point too. Why would Rachel have to go, you know, try to get a ride to the bus station when she had a perfectly good car that she could have driven? It does, you know, why did you do that? It does not make any sense. None. But I'll tell you this is when things started to turn against Tommy and Deborah. I think some of the parents started to go, wait a minute. You know, we got Tommy and Deborah who were engaged. And then we have Tommy and Rachel who were married. Maybe maybe they planned this. Maybe they did this. I don't know. I don't know. So I guess Rachel could have been forced to write it, and she was also left-handed. So you see that scrawl. It's kind of, you know, tilted down. I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows what to make of that slant that it's on. Now there is some, if you go over to the Facebook, there was a post there a couple of weeks ago from an anonymous poster who said that this letter was 100% written by the daughter of a mail carrier. All right. And of course, they have no proof. People were getting all upset about this anonymous poster that said that. But then the person, who we don't know who they are, said, well, you know what? Rusty and them run this page and they ain't taking it down yet. I don't know where that came from. I do not know where the postman came from. The 10-year-old daughter, I do not know. I just kind of try to read more than I don't, you don't want to bother them, with questions. I just kind of read the different, go back and read, because, this information has been front, forward, sideways, to the side. And Terry made this comment, I think, I don't know if it was that year or maybe a couple years later, but this about the letter, quote, I don't understand the letter at all. The letter seems to me like it was almost points to someone who knew them. People say it's to throw us off the track. Throw us off what track? There's never been any track. I don't know if we will ever know what happened. Which is, yeah. And so the next day, again, this was still being handled by the Fort Worth Youth Division, and they actually talked to the Fort Worth Star-Telegram and said that they don't know if she wrote it or not, Rachel. They don't know if she wrote it or not. But, they really weren't too worried about it. And that they didn't think these girls were in imminent danger. There was no foul play suspected. So, okay, thank you, Fort Worth Youth Division. Y'all really did a great job on that. And then Rayanne Mosley, which is Julie's mother, is quoted during this as saying, I know my daughter and I know those other girls, and they are not runaways. Judy Wilson, Renee's mother, said, I could have told you that night that they didn't run away. Renee wanted to go to that party, and no 9-year-old is going to run off 2 days before Christmas. Everybody knows that. End quote. Everybody knew that, but the damn police did not know that. Trust me on that one. All right, so now we're going to enter. I told y'all this was coming. Psychics. So, imagine these families sitting around day after day, hour after hour, week after week, and their children are gone. And you get that magical week where you think maybe, just maybe, they'll come home in a week. Maybe the letter, she did write that letter, and maybe they'll be back in a week. Well, that week came and went. No girls. So, a couple weeks, some weeks after the actual disappearance, there was a psychic named J. Joseph. Okay, I'm just going to call him Joseph. And Rachel's mother said that the families hired him supposedly, to look at the case. So he went to the home of the Arnolds. Joseph, who apparently did not, he didn't charge. I'll tell you that he did not charge for this reading, Joseph. That's probably one of the only things going in his favor, but he didn't charge him. And let me read it here right. I gotta get it right. He instead donated what money he would have gotten to the reward fund, which it's like. So all the families were in the living room, and he kind of shared an ominous message, that I'll read it to you. Langston, who is Fran Langston, is Rachel's mother. That's her. She married again. Her husband died, and she married again. So I'll just call her Fran. That'll be easier. Before he began, he wanted them to know that when he finished reading this, they would never see him again. Okay? All right. Let me put this on another thing here. Oh, Lord. Austin. Oh, shit. All right. This guy's going to be important in a minute. Okay. So, J. Joseph, and actually, Fran said 42 years later, they'd never seen this. That guy was never seen again. Okay. But he left the families with very vague hints, including a quote unquote sense that something was wrong with the letter from Rachel and a quote feeling that the girls went north, Oklahoma or Illinois, or that they were being held against their will, and dope was probably involved along with 3 to 5 people. Okay, that's very vague. And but here's something that's not vague. I thought this was weird. So Mrs. Wilson said Joseph knew things about Renee that he had no way of knowing. He also told them that dope was involved. Now, I don't think he meant with the girls. I think he meant with the people who took them, but I could be wrong. I don't know. We can't ask Joseph. He poofed. He went up in smoke. We don't know where he went. And he did say there were 3 to 5 people involved, and the girls were being held against their will. He said Renee, quote, cannot come home, end quote. Okay. He visualized them around a lake with houses nearby. He did say that Julie had on red shoes, which, by the way, was not released. That detail was not released to the public or the paper, but he said that she had on red shoes. Joseph asked Tommy if 150 meant anything to him as a sum of money, and Tommy said yes. There was 150 in bonds that had been in the car in the glove compartment the day Rachel disappeared, but it was not in the car when the police examined it. So, let me tell you what also happened with that car. The police did not process the car. The police did not take one fingerprint off the car. The police didn't do shit with that car except for drive it to Tommy's house the next day, the Christmas Eve. They didn't do dick to it. Just saying. So, now, I'll tell you this. He said $150 in bonds was missing. And then I heard another place where it wasn't missing. It was missing. It wasn't missing. This is where you get 50 years worth of back and forth, and it's hard. So and let's see. Joseph said he sensed that there was something wrong with it. I already said that. He felt the girls were they went north toward Grapevine, Oklahoma, or Illinois, not south to Houston. The note hadn't been analyzed yet. The note I guess hadn't been analyzed yet. A professional dowser from Hawaii also called this man right here, John Swain, who was the first private detective to work for the family. They called him and said the girls had been killed and their bodies had been dumped, not buried, in brush near a gas well off Texas Highway 36, 3 miles east of the town of Rising Star. Okay. So John Swain, we see him right here. He was the first private detective that the family hired. John Swain was a showman. Okay. He got the attention of the paper. He got the attention of the people in the town. I guess rightly so. I don't know. He got a tip that the girls had been murdered and their bodies dumped near a bridge in Port Lavaca. Let me get it right. He took 100 volunteers to this town, Lavaca. Anyway, and they searched where the person said these bodies were, and there were no bodies. Nobody's. But he took 100 volunteers, and that's, taking some. He also, so then we have, okay, a year later, in Brazoria, Texas, 3 bodies were found near an oil rig crew. Found 3 bodies in a field. Now, John Swain, once they collected those bodies, insisted that they check those skeletons, because they were skeletons at the point, against known x-rays and known dental records of the girls. There were no matches. In fact, even though they were young, the people that were dead were young, 15 to 17, again, right there where, our little sweet spot is. One of the skeletons actually belonged to a boy, not, all 3. So that quickly got, hey, Raindrop, I love you. Merry Christmas, baby. That quickly got smashed. So there, over the years, even Rusty, I think to this day, looks for clothes, any kind of scrap of clothes. He has been known. He will go on anybody's property. He does not care if that is your property and you don't want him on there. He's going to go look for his sister, okay, and her friends. He's going to look for all of them. But we had a little problem, I'm sorry to say, with Mr. Swain here. Lavaca, Texas. All right, so we've got 2. You think about these families. You've had 2 instances where somebody said their bodies are here. And then you get, oh shit, there's 3 bodies over here and they're young. And then you go through all that and it's not your kids. It's not your children. And so you have gone down yet another dark, deep hole that you thought was going to at least end, and you have in their bodies. I don't know what that does to a person. I really don't know. The runaway truth. I wonder if they have compared that letter to writing them. I don't, here's the thing, runaway truth. We don't know, because the case is now quote unquote open. All right. And they supposedly have DNA. I don't know from what. If it's from that letter, like the stamp or what, that letter's been touched. Rusty even said the day that it came in, they were all in the Arnold's, like den or whatever, and everybody passed that letter around and read it. So I don't know where they could have gotten it from. But when we talk about Carla Walker in a little while, yeah, it's possible. It's possible. All right. So let me see. Swain was really good at getting the newspaper involved. I can tell you that. And he kept that shit out there. For sure. But what is that? So for about a year after that, nothing really happened. I don't really know what John Swain was doing. Was he working every day? Could be. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But in 1975, okay, that can't be right. Hold on. 1976, 1977. I'm sorry. I can't. I've lost where I wrote it down. Anyway, John Swain dies. John Swain either committed suicide and OD'd, or he overdosed and died. And little did the family know that John Swain, in his dying wishes, in his will, wanted every single piece of his files burned. Every file. He wanted them burned, and they were. So Everything he had for the 3 or 4 years that he worked on it was burned, and they no longer exist. If people asked why, why would he do that? Well, he was a private detective. These, the girls weren't his only case. He had a lot of people, supposedly. And I guess he just, screw it, just burn everything, and somebody did. Somebody burned it off. That's another gut punch, right? To the family. It's just continuous, just sucker punches for these people that just wanted their kids back, or just wanted their bodies back at this point. So a couple years later, Rusty, in the mid-90s, all right, so we're all the way up to the mid-90s now, he engaged a man named Dan James. I don't even know if I have that, bastards. Okay, these were, all right, we have, sorry, I should have showed you this. This was when they went to look for the bodies in Port Lavaca. I never say that right. That is Cotton on the left. There's Tommy, and on the end there is Richard Wilson, Renee's father, and I think that the woman right there, they say that that's Judy Wilson, Renee's mother, but I think somebody thought, no, he does. That might have been her grandmother. But even though they were there waiting for these people to get the bodies, to look for the bodies, and, again, another gut punch. So, okay, we'll go back a little bit on this. All right. I'm trying to remember everything. Dan James came on the scene. And right away, he claimed that he was getting death threats. And the paper picked that up, right? And so, the new detective was getting death threats. Was he? Probably not. Dan James also had some pretty odd things that he came up with. One being that the girls were alive for a while, that Julie died in childbirth, the one that was 9, some years later, while she was wherever, she died in childbirth. Renee could have been alive for a while, but Dan James says, he's still alive, that he had many witnesses that could put Rachel in Fort Worth at Christmas time, like every year. She was seen at a Walmart. She was seen here and there. Rachel, he said, actually came back to Fort Worth, but she couldn't go home. I know. People, if I'm lying, I'm dying on this. That's why I say, if you do not get into these things, this was crazy. And what he did was, he got in Rusty Arnold's head. And even Rusty's mother said, Dan James put a lot of shit in my son's head that didn't make no sense. One of which saying that he thought Deborah and Tommy were responsible. So Dan James turns Rusty against his own sister, right? And they don't speak. Now, Deborah, some years later, gave an interview to the paper, and they were estranged now. The brother and the sister were estranged. The mother refused to even entertain the fact that Deborah had killed her sister. But when the families read this article that Deborah had given to the paper, they themselves wrote a letter, an open letter, to Deborah. And let me see if I can find where I wrote that out. Because, let me see. Oh, please. I know I wrote it down. Y'all hear me flipping, right? And, oh, yeah. Deborah ended up calling him a scumbag and the devil. And I believe her. I'm sorry, I believe her. Hold on, let me make sure. I just want to get it right. I got it written down somewhere. Shit, where is it? I got it. All right, anyway, I can't find it. So here's what we're gonna do. Hey, Augie. It basically says they don't believe her. They want her to take a lie detector test. They want her to be honest. They, to tell the truth. Blah blah blah. If I could find it, I don't know why I can find it. And they all signed it. The Wilsons signed it. Rusty signed it. The only person that did not sign it was Fran, her mother. Did not sign it. Okay. Let me interview his friends. I've written it down somewhere. And you know what? Let me see. Pretty damning letter. I mean, it wasn't nice. So yeah, Day and James put it in their head, everybody's head, that Deborah and Tommy were having an affair. And that's why this happened. So they wanted her to take a lie detector, Deborah. And Deborah answered back and said, I've taken 3 of them. And they've all proven, to be, I'm telling the truth. Even Dan James said, nah, that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. But it wasn't, I don't think. It wasn't a lie. Make sure I got it all here. Oh, and another thing, Rusty, bless his heart, yeah, he's 11, right, when this happened. So this is much later, but Deborah says that Rusty had a faulty memory. Rusty said that Rachel taught him how to play the guitar. Oh, I do? Oh, shit, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry. But Deborah said, no, Rusty, I taught you how to play the guitar. She didn't know how to play the guitar. I mean, this was, you think about what these girls, and I don't mean to dog their dad. Cotton Arnold died 6 months after his daughter disappeared. So her mother had to bury her husband and had to face this challenge on her own now. She didn't have a partner, her husband. I'm not going to dog him. He wasn't a good man. He made very bad decisions. But what is it? It is what it is. And Rusty in regards to his father. I'm going to see everything that I've got so much of this shit. Yeah, I mean, Rusty even called his father deranged. But Dan James also, I shudder. I wonder whether I should even mention this, but Dan James claims that Rachel had been sexually assaulted in a park. Maybe before she got married, or maybe right after. I'm not really sure. I can't. It makes no sense. He also, Dan James, said that he believed Rachel was pregnant by her father. So Rusty thinking, no, this can't be right, but let me exhume his body just in case something pops off, and they exhumed his body. They reached in there. It was very, very badly. The casket didn't hold up well. Oh yeah, Deborah. This is sick shit. And they jumped in there, and they had a woman that worked some kind of Like, she went in there and she got his thigh bone. She took it and she drilled it, and got the good, I guess it was degraded terribly. And then Rusty himself, if I am not mistaken, actually jumped in that grave and put it back in his father's casket. So this Dan James guy thought it was a good idea to not only drag everybody in this family, basically. He said that Rachel had been raped and that they told her if she told anybody, and that, that's might be who kidnapped her and the other girl, that she was pregnant by her dad. He said a lot of sick shit. And he also apparently, and I just hate saying this about the dead, but it is said that possibly Cotton was having numerous relationships with minors. In 1997, a fax to a detective of the Fort Worth Police Department, James cited alleged medical records that said Rachel was 6 to 8 weeks pregnant not long before she disappeared. James found no evidence pointing to Cotton's involvement in whatever happened at Seminary South, but he didn't retract what he had said about Rachel's father being capable of impregnating her. Okay. In fact, Dan James said he had motivation for Rachel to be missing. I think Rachel was pregnant and Mr. Arnold's child when she went missing. That is a direct quote from Dan James. Direct. Quote unquote. So this guy is a pig. I'm sorry to tell you that. I hate to break it to you. He's a effing pig. Now, he is on the Missing Trio Facebook. He's in there. And I read his timeline. Okay. He provided a timeline of right after the day after the disappearance. It is gibberish, but I'll read it to you in a little while. But it is gibberish, and this is something that asshole posted not too many years ago. It's it, Deborah. He just made it up. Dan James just made it up. So Judy Wilson died thinking Deborah was involved. I don't think Cotton knew, but I don't know. I don't know what he knew. He died 6 months later. So this hadn't come up yet. Obviously, because Dan James was not in the picture yet. But a lot of these, and even Richard Wilson, who died, relatively, I can't remember. So anyway, Dan James is no longer on the case. Let's put it that way. He's no longer there. And Dana Austin is the forensic anthropologist that jumped into that grave for Rusty and got that thigh and put it back. And Rusty even says, quote, I had bone dust all over me, in my hair, in my lungs. When they returned to the casket, Rusty climbed down and personally returned the femur. And he said, I just wanted to do that because that was my dad. And I'm sure I'm missing a lot on some of the stuff that Dan. So, okay, Rusty said that Dan was trying to connect the dots with this, with the DNA. And even there was supposedly a friend of his father's too that had some kind of charges of, relating to a minor. That person has not been named. Rusty is not named. Rusty talks about it, but he doesn't name them. So, I mean, we're starting to get, People starting to bubble up to the surface. Hey, warrior grandma. And let me see the DNA profile. They were unable to get a good profile because the sample had been degraded. Rusty said he was prepared to go through an entire process again, but he didn't do it. Dana also says, "Look, Rusty, if we're going to open that grave again, all of his bones have been degraded. It was water in there. It wasn't good. Okay, it wasn't pristine, and so there was really no need to do it again because all of it was going to be degraded." So, and that's a kid. Let's think about this. You have to picture Rusty as an 11-year-old boy, even now, meaning he was traumatized by this. His dad died. He went through some stuff. Now, Rusty went through some stuff. He had some problems. He had a little, drug and alcohol problem. No judgment. I mean, if you had that much going on in your life, I'm sure. But he sobered up, and now, and he's been sober for a very long time. And he got on it. Let me tell you that. But hold on 1 second. I got my heater going, and I think you could roast hot dogs in here. Hold on. Let me turn this damn thing on. Good Jesus. It's a little bitty heater I got last year from Walmart. It's so little, but jeez Christ. All right. Exactly. Yeah. PTSD. There's nothing this man has not overturned to try to find these girls. He is okay. Now, this used to be obviously a gas station. Now, supposedly, Dan James said that Rachel, Renee, and Julie got to this gas station and asked the owner for a ride to the bus station or some shit like that. And yeah. And then so Dan James talked to these people, right? Yeah, okay. And a person that worked there said, yeah, he took them home and he took them to his house. And then, the next couple of days, I went to his house and there was something dug up in his yard, and meaning that the owner had raped and killed him, right? And one day buried him in the yard. That was one. This was it. It's closed now. How far is it away from the mall? I couldn't tell you because I didn't get an address. So, yeah. I'm reading Deborah Arnold here. Hold on. I've got all of these things. I'm trying to hurry this up. I know this is a lot. Okay, I'm sorry. I found the statement. I knew I had it. And let me go back to it real quick. I know y'all are going to get dizzy here in a minute, but okay, this right here. It said, Dear Deborah, we read your statement in the Fort Worth Star-Telegram on January 9th, 2000. You indicated you had, quote, nothing to hide. If your statement is true, we beg and plead with you to fully cooperate with the Fort Worth Police Department and the FBI. Please complete polygraph testing and answer all the questions. Second paragraph. Deborah, please keep in mind, you also have a sister missing. Respectfully, Rayanne Mosley, Rusty Arnold, Judy Wilson, and Richard Wilson. The only signature that wasn't there was Fran's. And Fran said she believed that Dan James poisoned Rusty's mind and destroyed what remained of her family by turning Rusty against Deborah. They did not speak for years. In 2009, Deborah posted on Web Sleuth forum regarding the case, revealing that she had undergone multiple polygraph tests, which showed she had nothing to hide. So, it took that long for them to get back together. It was a good long time. They now are have made up, and if you go to that, you have to ask to be in that missing Fort Worth trio. But they're pretty liberal about it, and Deborah is right by Rusty's side in these photographs, and so it was healed. It was healed, and that's good, I guess. Now there's some oddities that's gonna pop up here in a minute. Remember I told you to pay attention to Weatherford and Throckmorton. Okay, well, this is where it's going to come in. Hold on. Oh, I do want to add this too. These families got phone calls from sick individuals, so much so that the Wilsons had to get a second line in their home. But on February 6th, 1975, 6 weeks after the disappearance, Julie's mother, Rayanne, received a phone call at 11 p.m. There was silence on the line and then simply moaned, "Mama." Rayanne was convinced that this was Julie. Okay, 6 weeks afterwards. Now there's another version of this story which has a little bit more detail to it. And Rayanne answered the phone. No one said anything. Even after several hellos, she was about to hang up when she heard a moan and the word "Mama." Miss Mosley asked, "Is this Julie Mosley?" The caller said yes. Miss Mosley then said, "If this is someone playing a joke, please don't. I can't take anymore." Mrs. Mosley said she asked the caller where she was, and the girl said she didn't know. Julie said "Mama" one more time and started to say something else when the phone went dead. She said the girl wasn't speaking normally and sounded either drunk or sick. Now, that's sick and twisted. But there are several articles in the paper, in the Fort Worth paper, about, these same calls. I think that they finally tracked down the Wilson who was calling them. It was a kid. But, just, I'm looking, hold on. I always have to make sure that I got everything. All right, there's a guy named Vernon Bately. Let's talk about Vernon Bately for a minute. Vernon Bately was around, maybe a little bit older than Terry Mosley. He was 15 at the time. And Vernon claims that Rachel asked him to go to the mall before. I don't know. You know what, Kathy? I don't know. I think you can go, like, there's private ones that you can go take. So Vernon said that Rachel called him and asked him to go to the mall that day, and that he said no, but he hitchhiked. Okay, listen to what I'm telling you. Listen to me, believe me later. All right, so he hitchhiked, all right, over to Renee Wilson's grandmother / Mosley's across the street, and that the girls were acting so, just tacky. And he decided not to go. But he did hang out with Terry and drink, liquor until it was time for this kid to go to school, to go to work. He also said that Rachel and Renee wanted a relationship with him. Yeah. He also said, now this is something that Richard Wilson did say. He said they were having a birthday party. By the way, this kid lived around the corner from the grandmother and the Mosleys. Around the corner. I don't know where he was hitchhiking from to get there, but he only lived around the corner. But Richard Wilson did say there was a party, a birthday party going on. And this Vernon guy was there at one point, and that Rachel was kind of flirting with him a bit. Okay. Tommy wasn't there. And Richard Wilson said he was like, oh, you're not doing that here in my house. You must stop that right now. We're not having that. No, you act like a married woman, Rachel, and you, Vernon, get on the fuck way. Now, that is something that Richard Wilson did say. You hear me flipping through papers? I gotta find Tommy. Because Tommy moved on pretty good in his life. And then we're going to get into some of these witnesses that, here's another thing that Cherry said about Renee. And he said, quote, Renee and I grew up together because her grandmother lived across the street from us. For me and her, it progressed to being more than buddies in the neighborhood. I went over early that morning. She spent the night at her grandma's, and I gave her a promise ring. She was happy. I mean, that's the last of it. Again, when you're that young, you are in love. I'm sorry, but you are. Let me find Tommy. Tommy moved on pretty quickly. I just have to get his I had to get his page. Here, he's got a whole page. Here's this asshole right here. We'll talk about this asshole here in a minute. I did tell y'all that the car was returned. No fingerprints, no nothing. They just took it back to his house. Okay, here's another little point too. According to investigators, the last time they had a lead in this case was in 2001 when they collected DNA evidence. Due to the active nature of the investigation, the results have not been shared with the public. It is believed the girls left the mall with someone they knew and trusted and met with foul play. Well, and that's possible. That's very possible. Because somebody who don't care is not going to write a letter that's going to show up the next day to tell you where to find the car, and then we're going to, somebody tried to buy a week at a time, just a week. Now, Vernon actually was going to go to California. I think he had family there. He was going to leave in the next, right after Christmas. Dan James tried to say that Rachel and Renee wanted to move to California to start a new life. You're 17 and 14. Well, you haven't started the one you got yet, and that eventually Vernon came back alone. So they tried to dump this on Vernon. He died 2020, I think. And even Terry, to this day, in that group, has got the integrity not to even mention it. He said the guy's dead. Just don't even bring it up. It's, if there's no need in bringing it up. And I can tell you this about Dan James. He did put up $25,000 of his own money for a reward. And it has since been $50,000 has been put up by an anonymous donor for the arrest and conviction of person or persons responsible. So, we've had some movement there. Now let me get over here with Tommy. Tommy. Poor Tommy. Tommy had a time of it, okay? He so he'd been married twice, okay? One to Rachel, one to the wife before Rachel. Now, some people in that little group are asking, could the ex-wife have possibly done this to Rachel? Well, no, because if you want to kill Rachel, you don't kill her while there's two people with her, and then you got to go kill them too. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. But stranger things have happened. I don't know. Well, let's get to Tommy. And I don't want to pick on him. Tommy's son, Sean, is in that group as well. So there's still, there's still connections there. And Sean is very nice. He's you know, grown up, obviously, and just a nice guy. I don't know. Let me find it. Hold on. All the stuff on damn James, that fucking pig. Okay. So let's talk about Tommy for a second. Tommy was married the first time August 23rd, 1971. Okay. He had one son named Sean. April 26, 1974, he and Ford divorced. He married Rachel 43 days later. Okay. And in between that time, had also been engaged to Deborah. All right. So that is. Okay. So the disappearance occurred a little over 6 months into their marriage. So Tommy requested a divorce from Rachel on the grounds of abandonment on December 15th, 1976. He then married Daphne Beck, who was also 17 years old, in June of 1978. He and Beck divorced, and less than 3 months later, he married a woman named Ruby Fox. It is my understanding that they are still married to this day. They have been married for 40 years, okay? Now, here's where it gets a little weird. So Tommy lived in South Texas with his current wife, Linda. I'm sorry, Linda. That's his current wife. Sorry. He's been married to her for 40 years. I did look at his Facebook, and, happy marriage. So on Tommy's marriage applications to Beck and Fox, which would be Ruby Fox and Josephine Beck, both were conducted in the same city, Weatherford, Texas, 76088. Just saying. Both applications requested that the marriage licenses be sent to the same address in Throckmorton, Texas, 76083. Now, if you remember, that was the wonky zip code cancellation of the thing. So we have the two towns, one 30 miles away, one 130 miles away. And all of a sudden, Tommy wants his marriage licenses and what to be mailed from there. Said he lived there. It doesn't look good on him, but it is what it is. A recovered deed has Tommy buying a house in Throckmorton, which had a very small population. And on that deed was Rachel's name. The document was dated May of 1976, nearly 17 months after Rachel disappeared. Hey, Carrie, I love you, baby. So that's a thing. And then we go back and we look at the handwriting and the T's and the this and the that. That is why Tommy and Deborah still pretty much to this day are being held responsible, saying it ain't just quite right. And, it is a little odd. Let's just put it that way. Well, let's just put it that way. And all that. Now, Tommy now is retired. He worked at a water plant. He had a very successful, he's got children. He's been married to his wife for 40 years. Listen, 20 years old, you are not grown. You might have grown up responsibilities. You're not cooked. All right, especially men, they're not cooked. I'm sorry, guys, but it's true. So the saga continues. We won.
Hi, guys.
Not going to hear me. I'm steady on this. Okay. Now, we go a couple of years, it goes by every couple of years. So a reporter talking to Rusty, and this is why he was still arguing with Deborah as well. He said the reporter talked to Rusty, said, I got to go talk to, I'm emailing Tommy. And I'm going to talk to Deborah. And Rusty said, well, you know what? Everything that comes out of her mouth is going to seem like Joan Cleaver, but don't let her fool you. And then about Tommy, he said, let me see, right email. If you are writing things, wait a minute, this is from Tommy. I'm sorry. Let me see what I did with that. Okay, through the years, families had trouble. Okay, Tommy lived in South Texas. Okay. Now, so there's a lot of connections to Throckmorton and Weatherford, which is a little weird. So, and of course, Tommy has absolutely said, I did not have anything to do with this. Nothing. And when the reporter got a hold of Tommy emailed him back and said in one part of it, if you're writing things Rusty has said, that you could be opening up legal repercussions. Rusty Arnold has done nothing but lie and put money in his pocket from this. To answer your question, I have nothing to do with this disappearance of my wife. I have done everything that law enforcement has asked me to do, close quote. The reporter said, okay, well, that's a big implication. There were connections, obviously, between, it wasn't good. So Tommy ended that email with, there's been so much information to come to light that you might do a little more investigating into it before you run the story. Basically telling the reporter, if you're going to run it on everything Rusty said, you're an idiot. And, be real careful, because if you mention me, we're going to have a problem. Basically. All right. Now, Dan James, here's missingtrio.com. Dan James was a partner in this website that, much like Facebook, you would go and you share information, get information, learn more information. Well, apparently Dan James said, fuck it. If you look right here, this domain is for sale for $9,795. Who's lining their pockets? Okay. Who tried? Okay. I had to get that right. And like I said, Rusty gave the same reporter Deborah's number and said she's going to warn them. My sister is pure evil, but she'll come across like June Cleaver. Yeah. All right. So we're getting down to it here. We're going to talk about. Y'all hear me shuffling all these papers. I hate shuffling papers, but we're going to get to these witnesses that through the years have seen these children, and I say children because they were children. And there's one guy I don't like, and I will say it till I don't get, because you know what? It don't matter if I don't like him. He can't sue me. Right after the disappearance, a clerk at the shopping center said, an older woman came into the store a couple days after the disappearance and said that she had seen somebody shoving 3 girls in it's always a truck or a van. It's the only 2 things that's ever been mentioned. Okay. Truck or van. They were shoved into it. And, so the clerk told the police sometime later they couldn't find the woman. So that is an unsubstantiated, nobody can say. In fact, the police say they can't get those girls out of the parking lot of that shopping center, meaning that the very last time they were seen was in it. And there's nothing that proves they ever left that parking lot. Obviously they did. But so that was another witness, that didn't quite get them. Then we have a guy. I'm just going to call him a guy. And this guy was apparently a security guard at Sears. Now, if you have a Sears in your local mall there, Sears is always the anchor store. It always is. And really the Sears security is what's driving around the mall. And so this guy, his name is, hold on, I gotta shuffle my stuff. I know I hate doing that. I hate the way it sounds. Bill Hutchins, okay. Now, Bill Hutchins is an interesting fella. He claims that right after all of this, he went to the police and he said, listen, I was a security guard for Sears. And there was another guy that was a security guard as well. I saw those girls in that guy's truck at 11:30 on the 23rd of December, 1974. In fact, little Julie was in the middle, and then Renee was beside her, and then Rachel was on there by the door. He was that certain. And that when he told the guy, you can't do that, you can't have people in there, he said they were laughing, they were happy. Okay. Okay, Bill. Okay, Bill. Well, we never heard any of that. Bill didn't really follow that up, with the police. Oddly enough, Bill became a police officer for guess what? Guess what town? I'm going to tell you, Fort Worth Police Department. He was a policeman. All right. After this. So in about 2000, and let me make sure I have my dates correct. Now, another guy said that he saw a man forcing a woman into a van. And when he pulled up, the guy said, it's a family problem, don't get involved. And he didn't. So there were a couple of people that claimed that they saw it, but you could never, ever, ever it couldn't be substantiated because you couldn't find these people anymore. But Bill Hutchins, my pick for somebody who might be looked at, said that he told them he was the security guard. He told the other security guard, because it was Christmas, so I guess they added on, you can't have them in your car. Blah, blah, blah. The girls were happy as could be, just laughing, and that it was never followed up on. So about, 30 years later, maybe 30 years later, there is a film crew, right, that is filming an anniversary of this disappearance. And this guy walks up and says, you know what? I told them in 1974 what I saw, and they didn't follow up with me at all. They did not follow up with me. And the reporter were like, oh no. What? They didn't? Guess where? He retired as a Fort Worth policeman. So you mean to tell me, Bill Hutchins, that you did not get an answer back from when you first reported this shit, but then you were a policeman in the same damn department and you never walked over there and said, hey, did y'all ever follow up on me seeing those 3 girls? Well, somebody did follow up because they found that guy. They found the other security guard 100 years later. And he said, I ain't never had nobody about car. Dude's crazy. That's my pick. Something's not right. Something's not right with that kid, with that guy. All right. No, not right. Nope. You would not convince me of it. Something is not right. What is this? This is the same. This is just for police reports of, that is Mr. Wilson. And he died. I'll find it in a second. But this is what he said of Rusty. He said that in his later years there, Rusty would call him and go, hey, you want to go out to so-and-so and look around? Meaning like in back roads, fields, whatever. And, as Mr. Wilson got older, he would go with them, but not so much participate because he was getting older. And he did end up passing away, obviously. But let me go. What am I next? Oh, shit. What's my next picture here? All right, so these went up. These billboards went up for a month. around an anniversary, and I hope nobody from over there has come over here because I don't know what year they were put up, but these were put up, and these were the rest of them, and there they have aged, progressed, and actually Terry Mosley had a lot to do with this, and so did the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Here is Ray Ann Mosley with a picture of her daughter. Look at those eyes. I mean, does that not tell all that you need to know? She ended up having a lot of mental problems, obviously, and it took she started to journal. She was in and out of the hospital. Can you imagine? She's the one that said, "Okay, baby, you can go." And so she had a lot of, just what if I hadn't done that? What if I hadn't done that? But, that's not how you live life. So this is Terry, Janet, and their mother. Another picture. A family absolutely shattered, right? This is Miss Frank. Now, that is Judy Wilson. That is Renee's mother before she passed away. And, okay, let's talk about Rusty. And what are we looking at right here? Okay. Well, Rusty has got a tip, and I cannot tell you where he got it from. I wish I could. I think I read it, but it just didn't stick in my brain. That one of the people that could have been involved, their car went missing very quickly after the girls went missing. Okay. Their own car went missing. And this person lived near a lake. And so Rusty, and he has on a hoodie that raised money for all this. I wish I could get one, but you can't get one anymore. He actually raised money to pay for divers to come in and start pulling cars out of this lake, okay? And they pulled out one, wasn't involved. Pulled out a second one, wasn't involved. But Rusty hasn't stopped there. He has done, I don't even know how many dives and how many cars he's pulled up just looking for something, right? And it's never been found, but he hasn't given up. I can tell you that. Here is look, that guy is exhausted. He is tired. He's probably praying. How many times can we pull up these cars and these, like I said, 18,200 in some days that they have done this, and they haven't given up. They haven't given up. Now, here is what we are now, 50 years out. Anomaly sonar run over places that could be, the spot. These were two anomalies found in sonar. And people started digging, and we have all these little flags, and we have holes, and we've got barrels, and we've got sifters, and this is now what it looks like. This is now what these three girls, this is what people look for now. They did, they're not. This is the Fort Worth Police Department saying they have narrowed down the suspects to 5 people. Who are they? Don't know. They won't say. This is Rusty's mother, Fran's, every year Christmas decorations, the 3 lit angels out in front of her house. This is another. This was a person who was calling the Wilsons and saying that they were the daughter, not Ray Ann, but the Wilsons. And they finally called. If you read this article, it makes you want to punch puppies in the face. It makes me so angry. But okay, then let's talk about this. This is Carla Walker. Now, Carla Walker was who I was talking about earlier. And don't ask me for a date. Don't. But I got it. Okay, so the murder of Carla Walker was a former cold case that occurred in Fort Worth on February 7th, 1974. 17-year-old Carla Walker was abducted from a bowling alley parking lot in Fort Worth. She and her boyfriend were sitting in the car. The door flung open. A guy grabbed her, and then when the boy tried to, and he was beat in the head. He was pistol whipped, basically, and she was dragged off. The boy, when he came to, instead of going, I guess, to get the police, he just went straight to her mother and father's house and said, "What happened?" It happened. What do you do? So, her body was found 3 days later in a drainage ditch, 30 minutes south of Fort Worth. Walker had been beaten, tortured, raped, and strangled to death. It remained a cold case for 46 years until September 2020, when DNA evidence recovered from Walker's clothing was sent to Ortham Incorporated, who specialize in degraded DNA samples. The Oxygen Network paid for the testing. The DNA matched with a man named Samuel McClurry, who was arrested for her murder. He was charged and sentenced to life in prison. He died July 15th, 2003. Now, okay. They actually, because when he hit the boyfriend, the clip of his gun came out, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I got a lot of damn facts here. Anyway, so they went to, I guess, stores who would have had the same ammunition, and this guy's name was on the list, okay? And they 100% talked to him and gave him a lie detector test, and he passed it. He passed it. He didn't have nothing to do. He was immediately taken off of the, suspect list. Now, also during these 2 days that she was missing, he had injected her with morphine. So she was just drugged out and tortured for 2 days. And this guy who did it was able to pass a lie detector test and be dropped as a suspect. Yeah. So Mark, why do I call him Mark? Mr. Terry Mosley put up and I will put it in the description. It's where you can donate to have these police departments enough funds, because they're paying for it, right? The police department is paying for it. I told you, Fort Worth has got 1,200 cold cases, many of them rape cases where the damn DNA has not been tested because they don't have the money. And Carla Walker Act is where they will get federal funds, millions of dollars, right, to these police departments so they can test these sex kits and all the other stuff and get these people on, off the streets, or at least figure out who did it, right? And there is I'll put it in my description. He just put it up the other day. This case killed parents and drove brothers and sisters apart and ruined and wrecked Rusty Arnold's life. And he has a wife that is stuck with him, is constantly looking. He does roofing. He's a roofing consultant. Roofing is his trade. But he spent 2/3 of his life, probably more than that, I'm not good at math, looking daily for these girls. And I can only pray that one day we find out who it is. But when people say, they died not knowing what happened. No, I hope that those girls were waiting for their parents and said, I'm good. I'm here. I'm good. I hope that's what happens. I really do, obviously. I mean, you don't want anything. So we go off these theories that, one, did the girls run away? I'm going to have to put a big fat no on that. because a 9-year-old is not running away before Christmas. A 14-year-old girl who just got a promise ring is not running away. And a 17-year-old woman who was going to be the first, Christmas with her and her stepson is not going to run away. Then we go to the next, which is they were taken by a stranger. And in my opinion, if they were taken by a stranger, okay, well, that could be, but why would that stranger make Rachel write a note that's going to buy them a week? So you would have to believe that, and if you are Don James, you believe every sick shit that you could pull out of your ass, but that these girls roamed around all December 23rd, half of December, 24th. Let me see, where did I put his convoluted effing damn shit? Sorry. His timeline. It's here somewhere. I was writing it down thinking, you fucking phony. You fucking phony. All right, so taken by a stranger. But you're trying to buy a week. You want to know where the cars are. Doesn't make any sense that it doesn't make any. Why, if you were going to kidnap, did you not take the car? Just take all of it. All of them. No. All right, no. So then you think, okay, and the police believe, and I guess a lot of other people do believe too, that they left with somebody they know, or they left with someone with authority, a security guard, a cop. If they didn't leave with someone they knew, then they left, in my opinion, with somebody who was in a position of authority over them. Enough to where they got to write the letter. The letter is what does not make sense. And it is the only piece of evidence that there is. It doesn't make sense at all to write it or don't write it. So, in my opinion, and there were other, let me tell you about the other suspects, because there were other suspects. And I'm not even going to say their names, because one guy was a suspect because he picked up girls at the mall and raped and killed them. Okay. I mean, I get it. Okay. They were taken from a mall, we think. Well, they were there. And so he was a suspect because that's his MO. And I just did bunny ears, if y'all don't know that. Then there was another guy that was a suspect because he killed his wife, who was Mexican. And she would write letters to her family every week or whatever. And he started writing the letters to her family in Mexico as if he were her. And so because he did that, he was a suspect because this letter showed up. And that was his MO. Both horrible guys, don't get me wrong, but just because one facet of a case resembled, theirs, I don't know. I don't know. In my opinion, this Bill Hutchins smells to high effing heaven. Yeah, well, listen, we got some sickos out there. Some sickos. So that's why, honestly, I thank y'all for still you hung in there. I've been going for 2 hours and 13 minutes. I appreciate y'all showing up for this. I've done this every year, but I'm going to start doing it on the 23rd every year. And I don't care if 3 people show up, but I'm not going to stop doing this. And I'm going to do it every single year and just pray that something breaks somewhere. Somebody, if they die, at least put it in your fucking will or whatever. Leave a note. I took them. Here's what I did with them. Here's where they are. These families, Terry, a couple weeks ago, when he wrote that thing on the Facebook page, he's tired. He's tired. 50 years of this, 50 Christmases. You know, he should have nieces and nephews from Rachel. Oh shit, from Julie. I'm sorry. He should have nieces and nephews. You know, maybe him and Renee would have been, you know, childhood sweethearts all the way to the end. I don't know. He had to watch his mother eat herself alive with guilt because she let the kid go. And Rusty and his mother's still alive. She's the last parent. Fran Langston, and they deserve a break. They deserve an answer. Those girls deserve a proper burial. And I've asked before in the years, what do you want me to tell people? You know, on that whole thing. What do you want me to tell people? We want people to know that they were loved and that nobody's given up on them yet. That's important. That's profound. They are loved and nobody has given up yet on them. And that's love. That's love. I look at Rusty, and before, you know, he makes these little videos, and he's also a really good musician as well. And there's pain behind his eyes, but he has a purpose, because when he comes up, he's trying to raise money to get into those lakes. I told y'all, Lady Bird Johnson Lake, in the past 2.5 years, they have pulled 16 bodies out of that lake. I don't know. That's not normal. You know, that's not normal that 16 bodies are in a lake, and one was just pulled out last week or last month. I can't remember. That's not normal. Tommy, if he had nothing to do with this, and, you know, I would think, you know, is Tommy and Deborah, were they criminal masterminds that, you know, thwarted any any evidence? No, they were 19 and 20. He's been under, you know, a lot of people. And in fact, just yesterday, somebody on that site wrote that Tommy did it. I think it's common knowledge. Tommy did it. I'm like, it's not common knowledge to me. And, you know, yes, the writing looks the same, the T's or whatever. But he's had to endure this as well, Tommy. And even his son, Sean, the little boy, you know, is a member of this group. So Tommy couldn't have been a half bad guy, because his son is right up in there, always respectful, always helping, always answering a question. Yeah, so if anybody on earth deserves answers, it's these people and these girls. And I bet you I could do one of these stories every damn week about some kid, and we've done them. Hell's bells, we've done them. The people that just fall off the earth. They just fall off the earth. But to get through, here's another thing before I go. I cannot stand that this case is called the Fort Worth Trio. No, you take trio out and you put Rachel, Renee, and Julie. Those are the girls. Trio does not begin to cover it. You put their name in it. Fort Worth, Rachel, Renee, and Julie. They did the same thing with the Springfield Three. All right. They take their name, they give it a cute little name. No, it is Rachel, Renee, and Julie, not the trio. Stop it. It just pisses me off. It pisses me off when I have to even type it in somewhere. But, you know, I do, and I will. Like I said, I'll be 112 years old, and on December 23rd, 3029, I'll be doing it. As long as Rusty and Terry and Fran are in there doing it, I'll keep doing it, dude. But so that is my presentation on these girls. It is interesting to me, especially like when Tommy moved and you had the two towns that the postmark probably was, and he was directly connected to it. I mean, out of all the places in Texas, that's where he, moved to. That's weird. But there's a lot of weirdness going on in here. Let me see. I have to just make sure. Oh, another thing. Renee's parents never moved out of that house, her childhood home. They never moved in case she came back. Waiting 18,000 days. That's a long time. That's a long time. So I'll thank y'all for coming. I appreciate y'all hung in there with me when I am out in left field trying to reel it in. When I end up 1,200 miles from where I started, and y'all always stick with me, and I appreciate you more than you know. I really, really do. I say it every week. My secret 300 that come in here and watch this shit, I love y'all. And I love all y'all that are here. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas. And I don't know if I'm going to do one next week. I don't know. If I do, as soon as I make that decision and figure out who, I'll let you know. I don't know if I'm going to or not. I hate to see the last weekend of December go, and I haven't I haven't missed many Saturdays, but I have missed some. I don't know if I just want to bang it out of the park for the last one and then just start 2025. So if I don't see you, have a very Merry Christmas, and I love you dearly, and I hope that Christmas is everything you want it to be. I hope you don't miss people too much, and I hope you get to see the people you do miss and all that good stuff. And I thank you for the super stickers and stuff like that. I mainly love you too, State of Disorder. I mainly just thank y'all for showing up and listening to me. It means more than y'all just don't know. Oh hell, Halloween baby, do it. Do it. I got a brother. When I did, and I promise this will be it. A couple of years ago, my daughter gave me an Ancestry.com kit because it was rumored that I had a brother out in the world that was older than me, and I'm pretty certain that it was true because when my mother married my father, they only dated for 3 months. But this woman called their home one night and told my father, I just had your son. I'm in Florida. Don't you ever talk to me again. Okay. So I've always wondered. And so my daughter, Devin, got me a Ancestry.com. And I took, the test. And I waited, and just waited. And about I will say 6 months, maybe more than that, I got an email from a guy that said, listen, I just took my DNA test and I think we're cousins. And I said, hold on, let me go see. And I went over to my Ancestry.com account and looked. And this guy was above my cousins, above my aunt, in relation to me. And I had to email him back and say, no, buddy, you're my brother. I'm your sister. And he lives in Florida. And for reasons, my childhood, I was even talking about it. My dad was a piece of shit. And I am so petrified. He's a retired state trooper in Florida. He had a sister named Shannon that died of cancer. And what are the odds of that? And so I haven't. Let me try to figure it out. I have not. We will text and we will talk, but I haven't had the courage to go down there yet because my dad is such an asshole, and like I was trying to tell my father because I didn't talk to him for a long time. But then when Scott came in And I had to broker that, call because to tell my dad, hey, listen, you got to, found the boy. And then they talked. And I don't think that my father has done anything. My brother said, all I want to do is shake his hand and say, hello, how are you? I'm your son. You're my dad. We look alike, me and him. And he's like, I've never looked like anybody in my life till I met you. And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, so one day I'm going to go down there. I'm not going to be a chicken shit and just be afraid that, I'm just going to get my feelings hurt and all that. And I'm going to go down there. So I'm going to take me a big old dart. I'm going to hit the whole fucking state of Florida one day, but not today. Yeah, yeah. Isn't that weird though? We look just alike. It is so odd. It's so odd. But anyway, all right, I'm sorry. I got off of that tangent again, landing 30 miles away from where I started. Oh, of course, data disorder. I'm coming to stay with you. All right, now again, I have, Halloween baby. Let me go see. Oh, move up. Move up. Move up. There we go. Move up. So I could go 2 weeks. Kathy, I love you. Aunt Kathy, you my girl. Y'all my girls. I can't find whatever it is, Halloween baby. It's jumping too much. Write it again, love. Now, see, me and state of disorder, I'm locking her in right now. We're gonna do you live in Florida? Oh, you love Florida. Me and her are gonna we're gonna pick one, and we're gonna do it together. Another one of these sooner or later because I love it when y'all come up here. I love it. I love it. So I could go 2 weeks. Oh shit, land. Is that what you want me to say? Weeks behind the refrigerator? I don't know what that means. Oh, that means Halloween baby. What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah, I know. I think I might. You travel to Florence. Hey, I'm gonna seriously need I don't know. I'm gonna need a stiff drink and a lot of friends holding me up. Yeah, see, I have half, siblings, and on it. Funny enough, my sister did die of breast cancer back in the day, and I have a half brother, that's from whatever, and but when like I told my husband, I said, this is the one I like. The only one I like is the one I've never met. I don't like the other ones. Fuck it. Her dart went behind the refrigerator. Shit. Halloween baby. You crack me up. All right. Well, all right. Go off. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. Have fun. Cook and all that. Okay. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. It went behind. Hey, that'd be my luck. I'd probably hit the freaking neon, freon and blow it up. SDA. I know I wish somebody would leave me millions. I'd be happy if they left me thousands. I don't even need millions. Like $10,000. I don't know. Anyway, all right. I love y'all. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year if I don't see you, but I probably will see you. And yeah, I love you. I love you very much. And I will see you soon. And thank you again for spending all this time with me. I appreciate you more than you will ever know. All right. Be safe. Be good.